Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today the topic which we are going to discuss in this video is the factors controlling the temperature. Okay, and it's from the same chapter which we are doing which we were doing earlier, that is the insulation and temperature. However, there is a difference between these two terms. Insulation and temperature is not the same thing. Insulation is the heat which we are receiving from the sun. Okay, it is measured in calories, but temperature means the heat which we are receiving. Okay, now it is measured in degrees, in hotness. Okay, so the thing is that the intensity of heat, how much intense heat we are receiving, that is your temperature. Okay, now a few factors which controls the temperature, because the temperature is not same all over the earth surface. It differs from place to places. So why it differs? Okay, what are the reasons behind the different types of temperature, different amount of temperature? So that we are going to discuss in this video. So the first factor we are going to discuss is the latitude. So in the latitude, if you see, the curvature of the earth is spherical in shape. Okay, so in case if the earth was flat in a straight manner like this, then the intensity of the heat which we are receiving, it would have been similar all over the earth's surface. Okay, but since it is not like that, so when we move from equator towards the polar area, okay, the intensity of the heat will also differ. Why? Because here in the equator receives the vertical rays of the sun, so because of that here the temperature is very high. Whereas when we move from equator towards the polar areas, okay, both north and south pole, the rays will start becoming more inclined. Okay, so it is because of the shape of the earth as well as the earth inclination also. As a result, what is happening over here, here the sun rays is inclined, so here the temperature is low. Okay, because if it is a direct rays, it is concentrated only in a small portion, so that's the reason more amount of heat is received. Okay, but whereas the inclined rays has to cover a larger distance and has to be spread, concentrated over a larger area, so that the heat, okay, is low, the intensity of the heat is low. As we move from equator towards the poles, okay, the rays will become inclined, as the temperature will also decrease. So this is the first factor, latitude. Next factor is altitude, height. Okay, more we go up, the temperature decreases. Okay, so there is decrease of 1 degree Celsius of temperature with the ascent of height 165 meter. Okay, so when we go 165 meter up, the temperature will decrease by 1 degree Celsius. This phenomena is known as normal lapse rate. Okay, normal lapse rate. Now why it happens? It happens because of the density of the atmosphere. Okay, now the density of the atmosphere is maximum or highly concentrated at the lower parts or at the lower level of the atmosphere, near the ground. As we move upward, the density decreases. Okay, now density decreases means the heat absorption, okay, means the solar radiation or the insolation which is coming towards the earth surface, okay, more the density, as well as the terrestrial radiation also, more the density, more heat will be absorbed. Less density, less heat will be absorbed. Okay, so as a result, the temperature will be more at the lower levels because of the more heat absorption, and as we travel upwards, okay, less heat is observed. As a result, the temperature is also low. So that's why the hill stations are cooler compared to the plain areas. Okay, so this is the factor altitude. Next we have is the distance from the sea. Next we have is the distance from the sea. Okay, now here what happened is, the land which is present very near to the sea area will have a moderate type of climatic conditions, mild, neither too hot nor too cold, whereas the places which is far away from the sea, okay, will have extreme type of climatic condition. So whereas the places which are far away from the sea will have extreme type of climatic conditions. Okay, very hot in summer, very cold in winter. Now why it happens is because of that land breeze and sea breeze, continuous exchange of air which takes place in between the coastal areas and the sea. Okay, so because of this continuous exchange of air between these two places keep the place mild throughout the year. Okay, but since here the distance from the interior part, isn't it, of the area, the distance is quite far from the sea, so as a result there is no exchange of the land breeze and sea breeze. Okay, so that's why the temperature is different, or the weather conditions are different in the interior part compared to the coastal areas. Next we have is the ocean currents. Now ocean currents are usually of two types: warm ocean current and the cold ocean current. So here it also influence the temperature of the surrounding areas, the area through which those ocean currents are moving. Okay, now for example, let's say this is your cold ocean current and this is your warm ocean current. Cold ocean current usually comes from polar areas towards the equator, and the warm ocean current moves from equator towards the poles. Okay, now here what happened is the warm ocean current, when it is moving from equator towards the polar area, okay, the thing is that it will influence the temperature of the coastal region. Okay, because of the warm ocean currents, the nearby areas temperature will also increase. Now the same thing happens with the cold ocean current also. Now the cold ocean current, when they are traveling towards the equatorial areas, it will also influence the surrounding region. Hence it will also further decrease the temperature of that area. Okay, mainly the coastal areas, not the interior part. So as the ocean current, warm and cold ocean currents are moving, okay, near the coastal areas, it will influence the temperature of that places also. Next we have is the aspects of slope. Okay, means here the slope which are facing towards the sun will have a higher temperature, okay, compared to the slope which is away from the sun. Okay, so that is your aspect of the slope. It's very simple. So the slope which is towards the sun, exposed towards the sun, will have higher temperature. The slope which is opposite to it will have lower temperature. Natural vegetation, very simple again. The natural vegetation, okay, the natural vegetation will provide shade to that area. So the huge canopy or the dense forest which is present over there will obstruct the solar radiation which is coming, and it will provide shade to the lower areas, isn't it? So that's the reason the temperature in the forest areas, isn't it, it's usually cooler compared to the barren areas, because in barren areas there will be no obstruction to block the solar radiation. So the huge amount of insolation will reach the earth's surface, hence it will increase the temperature. Okay, now another factors are also there, like the cloud cover or the rainfall. Okay, like in the previous video, as we have done, is the your transparency of the atmosphere, isn't it, where the cloud cover have explained, because almost 27% of the solar radiation is reflected back. 27% is almost reflected back by the clouds only, isn't it, if you remember while doing the heat budget. So the area which is covered with the cloud, okay, will receive less amount of insulation, hence the temperature will be low in that area. But in case if the temperature or the cloud cover, if it is not present, then the insulation in that area will be very high, which will further increase the temperature of that area. Okay, next is also the rainfall. Also rainfall, also due to the the precipitation or the rainfall, okay, even the temperature of that area will cool down to certain extent. Okay, so this were the different factors, students, which influence the temperature of a particular places. So that's why the temperature varies from one place to another, from the highland to the lowland, from different latitudes, from a vegetative area or the humid areas, desert areas. The temperatures does not match with each other, isn't it? It varies from one place to another. So why it varies is because of this various reason. Okay, so with this we come to the end of this video. I hope I was able to explain the topic, and thank you for watching.